So I guess I'm going to film a quick little review. I just finished watching Endgame and I must say that it definitely beats Civil War in terms of my favorite Marvel film. It beats the Daredevil series, it beats anything cinematic up to this point. It just went down memory lane, specifically with the movies, but it also just brought along a lot of memories when I was just a kid. Reading comic books secretly, not really telling a lot of people. I read Marvel so much, collected all the Marvel Legends, I collected so many of their stuff. I'm not like a god nerd per se, but it was an escape for a lot of us. And I think this movie, it felt like I was playing with all my like toys in like a huge battlefield. And I didn't really have Thanos back then, so my big baddie during my figure collection was Venom. I just want to start by saying, wow, this movie was phenomenal. There was nothing like this film. This might offend some people. This is definitely not even the Star Wars of our era, but even better than Star Wars of our era. It was intricately woven from 2008 till now. This film just brought along a lot of emotions. I just want to touch on a little bit of the things that I really loved about this film. By the way, this video will have all of the spoilers, 3, 2, 1, all spoilers starting now. So the first one was, I still love that in the beginning, Tony and Cap still had issues with each other. Tony hated Cap for not being there when he needed him. And he kind of blames Cap for what happened. But at the same time, everyone kind of blames them for what happened, especially Thor. You see that Thor is just going through so many emotions, and that kind of hits you because I know there's a lot of memes about you should have gone for the head or whatever, but you see that alive in him, that guilt. I love that part. And I also loved how the Thanos we know just gets slaughtered by Thor right after. And I love that Thanos wasn't really a villain of passion, yes, but he wasn't full of greed with all the power that he had. I mean, you see that he throws it away, all of it. I loved how they intertwined Ant-Man and the Wasp right into the films, like a rat picks him up, and that time is just a little mere element in the quantum realm was a geek spot for me because the comics really touch on the quantum realm. I'm just really just going off my mind right now. How they went back to Avengers 1 was amazing, and how far did Tony Stark come as a character? His suit compared to Mark 7 suit was, wow, come on, it's nanotechnology versus Mark 7. You can't really beat that. I want to touch on the character development of Tony Stark. He has learned so much from Iron Man 1 till now, and now he wants to keep his family safe, which is great, but you see his development in which he is truly an Avenger, a hero, and he wants the best for the world, and that keeps him up at night. It's not Thanos anymore, it's his responsibility as an Avenger, and I love that. We see Loki again, which is great, twice actually. I loved how Thor's new Asgard was in Earth. I think it's in Ohio, kind of like the comics, but we don't know. That was a real treat. Infinity War painted Thor as like the super sexy god, and we kind of see him as like a, what was it, melted ice cream? Cap fighting Cap was great. I wanted to touch a little bit on where Natasha and the entire scene of Black Widow dying. That scene perfectly embodied their relationship completely. We had no idea who was gonna die. We thought it was gonna be Natasha, but then they start fighting and then it's Barton who's trying to die. But then at the very end, Natasha just sacrificed herself. That was pretty emotional. I didn't cry though, because honestly speaking, I'm not really attached to the spies as characters. I never really got into Black Widow. I did get into Hawkeye, especially when Hawkeye teamed up with Spider-Man. That comic was fantastic. And when he fights Deadpool, I loved it. It was so weird to see Hawkeye be where Thanos was last year. But yeah, that scene didn't really hit me as much. The scene that really hit me, where tears started coming out, was when, not when Cap picks up Mjolnir, because we saw that like a mile away, which was a great treat, by the way. But when everyone came out of the Doctor Strange portals and every single army came out to fight Thanos and his army, that just, I started crying so much there. I was filled with tears and I couldn't keep them back in a sense. I was so full of emotion. I loved how they made Scarlet Witch super strong again. I wanted to see that. That entire fight was great. And how Cap finally says Avengers Assemble. That was That was definitely a treat to all of us. But the second tearjerker, no, I was actually bawling, was before Tony Stark sacrifices himself with the snap. When he says, "I am Iron Man," that just took me back all the way to 2008. It was an era where Marvel wasn't cool. It was where everyone kind of was like,
"Oh, you watch superhero movies? That's cool. You're freaking lame."
I remember I watched Iron Man 1, not in theaters, because I was just so scared of what people would say to me, I guess. That was an era where I was just really ashamed to be a Marvel fan because, you know, back in school, when I was a little kid, people would just make fun of me. I watched it like a couple months after it hit theaters, and man, I fell in love with that movie at the very end when he says, "I am Iron Man."
The truth is, I am Iron Man.
That just gave me goosebumps. It gave my sister goosebumps, I remember. And then it comes full circle, and you knew he was gonna sacrifice himself. That was insane. And then I also kind of got really emotional when the Iron family was with him, and I got really teary when Peter Parker came back to high school and he saw Ned. We're gonna see more of that in Far From Home, but my sister called me right after the film and she basically said, "Where were you so emotional?" I told her one of the scenes was the Peter Parker scene, and she was like, "Why?" I don't know, I feel like the year after Infinity War, I was so sad about an MCU without Spider-Man. We all kind of knew he was coming back, but I was just so happy that my favorite character is finally back on screen. And the end credit scene, obviously there wasn't one, but I loved the homage to Iron Man 1. I think it was Iron Man 1, like the clinging noises where Iron Man's making his suit for the first time. That's what I thought it was, because last night I couldn't sleep because the night before I watched Endgame, I was actually watching Iron Man 1. The DVD was just in my room, so I just popped it on, and that's what I think it is, and it was a really good way to end Endgame, making us think back to Iron Man 1. Couple other things I wanted to know. Ronan was really cool that he became that lone soldier and he just started killing people that he didn't think deserved to live compared to his family. Black Panther was cool, his entrance. Everything about this film was awesome. Even though there was no ties to like mutants, what could happen with them, or Fantastic Four coming in, or even Ghost Rider. But the point is, this film is amazing, and this film deserves to be watched at least 17 times. Avengers is basically the reason why I even made this YouTube channel, why I collect figures, why I buy clothing that have Marvel on it. It was a child's dream come true. Fighting the ultimate evil, that was... you just can't top that. And also how Cap gives his mantle to Sam. I personally thought that Winter Soldier was going to receive it, but it makes sense that Sam gets it instead, because Winter Soldier is a super violent, crazy guy from the past. Not anymore, but he had a lot of bad in him. But Sam is kind of like the ultimate good, just like Captain America. So that kind of made sense to me. I loved how there was closure for Captain America as well. And like, you know, in the comics, he does come out as an old Captain America. So that was really cool to see. I just feel like that's what this movie was. Good closure for a lot of people, including Thor and his mom. The original 6 had good closure overall, except Natasha, obviously. But even with Black Widow, you kind of see that she is just so depressed and that this was her final mission. She really wanted this to be her final mission. Yeah, time to go watch it 40 million more times.